Ladies and gentlemen, you listening, it's good to see you again. I hope you feel the same way. Welcome to a new episode of the 2-in-1 podcast. For reference, because this podcast might be out of date by the time you listen to it, we are recording this, Alex and I, Tuesday, February 18th. It's 6:02 p.m. We were going to record, as we normally do, on Sundays and tomorrow on Wednesdays, but just coincidence, Alex was busy tomorrow. We thought it'd be easier to do it tonight. Then about 5 minutes after that conversation, the floodgates are open. Trades are coming in left or right. I think we have about 8 to talk about, or 7, and a potential 8th one with Alex Martinez to the Golden Knights. Nothing confirmed yet. But Alex, we are here. The 2-in-1 podcast, a new standard in sports podcasting.
We are back.
We've got a good show lined up. The Power Hour will probably... We've got some stuff, injuries, Alex. Someone got suspended, and then we have so many trades to talk about. So many trades.
Too many trades.
No such thing. There's too many
Of course.
trades.
I feel so bad. Remember, I texted you, I don't know. I think I texted you this last night, but I guess it applies now too. I feel really bad for whoever is doing trade deadline for Sportsnet and TSN, because I can imagine this is just going to not be fun for them.
James Duchy is going gray probably right now. The poor guy. But anyway, we're going to skip Breathe of the Bye Week today, because it doesn't matter. We're going to skip the pop quiz because we're not in person. But anyway, we'll get right into it. We do have a special guest later on in the show, though, when we talk about the Leafs. It may or may not be Daniel. That's right. Daniel's on the show twice in 1 year.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
God. But anyway, let's open the Power Hour by talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning, an 11-game win streak. They are so dumb.
11 games. That's ridiculous. You know, they started off quite poorly for their team. Obviously, I'm pretty sure they were still above 500, but wasn't looking good for them. They now sit 1 point behind the Boston Bruins, who currently have 86 points. They have 85 points.
Think back to where Tampa were in December. They beat Colorado last night. Their record is now 40-15-5.
It is scary.
I don't want to look at Andrei Vasilevsky's last few games because it's just nothing. No loss.
It's disgusting. No. And I remember you look at Dom Luszczyszyn's his season standings, the projected standings, and a lot of people were giving him a lot of slack because he still had Tampa Bay at his algorithm still had Tampa Bay at the top.
Idiots.
Even though they started so poorly.
All of them idiots.
and now he's just sitting there laughing.
Dom's, listen to the numbers, people. They prove you're right. But talk about numbers. We have a number of injuries to talk about. The Oilers, who are already without Zach Kassian for kicking somebody, Connor McDavid with a quad injury, Oscar Klefbom, defenseman, is now out 2 to 3 weeks. What does this mean for the Oilers?
Honestly, it means absolutely nothing because Leon Draisaitl is just pouring in the points. That's the scary thing. It's not even fair.
He's really solidified himself as the next Evgeny Malkin.
I think, a lot of people, when that contract came out, really crapped on the Oilers. And to be honest, I'm not going to lie, I was one of them.
So was I.
I didn't think, Leon Draisaitl always wanted to play with Connor McDavid. And at that point, he was playing with Connor McDavid. But I wanted to see him play without Connor McDavid. And this season, he has really proved that. At the start of the season, it was still iffy if he was playing with Connor McDavid or not. And now he's on his own line with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and now Kyler Yamamoto, who that line looks deadly.
The goal sharing when they're on the ice, they are tearing second lines apart in the league, as Jeff Merrick would love to say. But anyway, our boy Mikko Rantanen, the Army man, is out 6 to 8 weeks with a broken collarbone. Does this mean that the Avalanche are going to do their best to get a top 6 winger? Whether it be Chris Kreider or maybe it be a possible Tomas Tatar deal?
Well, I sent you a text message last night as soon as I found out he was injured. I wouldn't be too surprised if they were really in on the Chris Kreider sweepstakes. I think they're going to push hard to get Chris Kreider because, Kadri's also out. I'm not sure how long he's out for. Now with Rantanen out, that's 2 big offensive pieces who aren't playing. They also have – I wouldn't be surprised if they went out and made some type of depth defensive deal.
Really?
Yeah. It never hurts to have too many defensemen. And I think we're going to get to this later, but I'm going to throw this guy out there right now. You know who may or may not be on the block right now?
Who?
Florida centerman Vincent Trocheck.
Oh, that sucks. I really like Vinny Trocheck.
Yeah, but do you think? Listen, he has this year and I believe next year at 5.5.
Oh, look.
That is a potential deal for the Avalanche to make.
He has 2 years after this at 4.75.
Wow, I was not even close. That's okay, though. And it seems like this is a team that has loads of cap space. I get they do have to re-sign some players. Landeskog has to be re-signed next year. McKinnon in 4 years. Makar eventually. I don't think this is far from something that could happen.
He's played the wing and he's played down the middle as well.
Which it seems like exactly what this team needs. They need a second line center for now, and then they're going to need someone to play on the wing. Which it couldn't hurt to have too many wingers.
Since we are talking about the Colorado Avalanche, apparently to Frank Saravalli's credit, that Colorado and Boston seem to be the front runners for Chris Kreider. Now, also, Elliot Friedman in 31 Thoughts that he released today, because God knows how accurate it's going to be tomorrow, says that also the St. Louis Blues and the Islanders are in there as well. And according to, one second, I have the tweet right here, if my phone would unlock, to Adrian Dater of, is a writer, editor, boss for Colorado Hockey News, 39,000 followers, so I'm going to give her some credit here. I've never really heard of this person, but they say that Tomas Tatar is in play with the Abs if Kreider falls through. Buckle up. Now, I am now hoping to God that Chris Kreider is a Boston Bruin now.
There hasn't been much talk about his contract, though, right? I think Bob McKenzie reported it last week that they were talking, but there hasn't been much since.
There is something there was a clip of it I saw in 31 Thoughts. I can't find it. Everything's just, there's so much going on.
That's fine. It just doesn't seem like that is as likely.
Oh, yeah.
An extension. Yeah. But that'd be interesting. Tomas Tatar, Tomas Tatar to Colorado is similar to the Vincent Trocheck deal. But I think you'll definitely get Vincent Trocheck right now for cheaper than Tomas Tatar because Tomas Tatar is having such a good season.
All right, so this is what Friedman says. This is thought number 4. Quote, "This is good news for the Rangers, who continue to both negotiate with and generate the market for Chris Kreider. Teams I think are interested, as we said earlier, Boston, Colorado, Islanders, and St. Louis. There could be more, obviously. I think Washington GM Brian McClellan made a stealth move to see if he could get in on Kreider, but the Dillon trade probably takes him out of it. Imagine if they had pulled that off. So there's no real update there, but the Rangers are keeping all their options open.
Okay, that'd be interesting.
I love that Washington tried to pull that off.
Yeah, there's just. I don't want Chris Kreider to be a Bruin.
Oh, of course. No, why would you? You don't wanted to take out Frederick Anderson in the first round.
It's getting more and more and more likely that the Leafs are going to play the Bruins in the first round again.
Third straight year.
I don't even know what to think about that. Like, it's kind of scary.
We knew it was happening.
Oh, I know. Thank God for exams. That's gonna be my excuse.
To not watch games and you have exams.
Yeah.
See if you're saying that when there's a game 7 and you have an exam at 7 p.m.
Oh, game 7's a different. Listen, if it's game 7, I have the exam the next day.
Sorry, your number.
Sorry, professor.
Anyway, though, someone else should be saying sorry to probably his family because no, I shouldn't say it like that. That was rude of me. Anyway, Zach Bogosian should be saying sorry to himself in a few weeks because he's ruining his career after he's now been suspended by the Sabres for failing to report to the Rochester Americans he will not be playing there, even though no team wanted him, so he has no value. So his solution is, I'm going to sit on my ass and not do anything.
Exactly. What do you want me to say, man?
I mean, just talk to me about, what's Zach Bogosian thinking here? How is this going to help anyone involved? You're ruining your own value. It's a contract year.
But here's the thing, though. I don't think you're ruining your own value. Clearly, no one wants you, right? You know what the thing is, though. For me personally, is I think he has such a high cap hit at 5.1. That's the issue. If I'm a team, even at 50% retained, that's just over $2.5 million. That's a lot of money. And, I know generally teams can take on more at the trade deadline because no one knows how the salary cap works.
Mm-hmm.
But if, let's say, he just doesn't play the rest of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if a team calls him not on July 1st, but maybe July 5th or July 6th and says, hey, are you interested in a 1-year deal, league min? He's a right-handed defenseman. Fine, he's not the greatest right-handed defenseman in the world, but I think he's still he can play bottom pairing minutes.
But I wouldn't want him anymore if you're saying to me, oh, here's this team. The Sabres are in a tough enough position at fault of their own, yes.
But he's not going to play, though. It doesn't matter if I'm looking at Bogosian and looking at the situation in Buffalo. He's not playing in Buffalo.
He'd play in Rochester, though. You'd have a chance.
Sure, but what are you going to get out of him playing in the AHL? What is if a team goes and scouts the AHL game, you're not if he gets traded, I don't think a team is going to send him down to the AHL.
I just think if I'm Zach Bogosian, I think it would be better if I were to show that I give a damn and I would go report and play. How bad does it look like Jonathan Drouin when he wouldn't do it? Josh Host saying, look at that guy. He bucked up, went back to Bridgeport, and he started playing.
Yeah, but that's after Lou Lamoriello told him, no one's interested in you. And Josh Hosang's also 22 and Zach Bogosian is I don't know how old he is. He's made his money.
I think this is going to do a lot of damage to Zach Bogosian's career.
Here's the thing I'm asking you, though, is how much more damage is it going to do? Because, again, right now, no one wants him at the 5.1 cap hit.
Yeah.
Or I'm guessing, I wonder if a team's asked about 50% retained, and at that point, no one wants him at 2.6.
Mm-hmm.
So how much more damage is he doing? He's already his value is already minimum.
Because you could blame the Sabres enough for not playing him normally as they did. But then now you also put onus on the player for not even giving a damn and reporting to the AHL. So even if you didn't want to take him before at even $2 million, why the hell am I going to give this guy another shot making league min when he won't even report to try and give himself a chance to be traded? That's
because he's not going to increase his value in the AHL.
That doesn't mean you just sit on your ass and you're just making Buffalo's situation even worse. That's not being a team player.
It's not making Buffalo's situation any worse. If he goes to the AHL and doesn't play, or if he just doesn't report, there's no difference in value because his value is already rock bottom. His value at this point, his value cannot get lower. And if he can't get a contract, I guarantee you someone in Europe will offer him a contract.
Well, great. He can go play for the Zurich Lions then, all right? Go have fun over there, Zach, all right? I'm sure Darren Ferris would love to try and get you a contract over there. But, hey, Alex, I'm constantly refreshing Twitter because God knows what's going to happen next. So, all right, I say we will start talking about Andy Green. Might as well get what I think is the weirdest trade out the way first. So the Devils have traded, did you know he was their captain, Andy Green, to the New York Islanders. Of course, you have the Lou Lamoriello connection there. Yeah. In exchange, the Devils acquired David Quenneville, a defenseman who is really just a warm body, so I guess defensive or defenseman, as well as a 2021 second-round pick. Now, at the same time, Andy Green waived his no-trade clause, because somehow he had one, to go to this deal. So, to go to the Isles. What are your thoughts initially on the return for the Devils, let's say?
I think that's great return for the Devils, considering how Andy Green's 37, making $5 million, or has $5 million against the cap, and got no salary retention. That, I think, and he's a UFA at the end of the year, and they got a second-round pick. I don't think Andy Green is as good as a second-round pick.
No, not at all.
I think this was just Lou Lamoriello making a deal to bring in someone he likes.
You know what? What's really funny? So please remember this for me, and he got an assist in his first game, too. Can you just remember 12 points for me, please, Alex, while I look something up?
Sure.
12
points.
Andy Green has 12 points. PK Subban has 13 this year. Just let that sink in for a second. That 37.
Yeah, but that doesn't. I'm sorry, but that doesn't increase his trade value. I think that just decreases PK's.
I'm just laughing about that. He has 1 point more than PK Subban. I'm sorry. I love you. And then I guess, yeah, you said it there. I guess was the fact that Lamoriello's doing this. Because they've had some injury problems on the back end, have the Devils, and I guess maybe that's why they ended up having to give up a second-round pick. But yeah, it's really Lou bringing in the face he knows, the guy he made the captain of the team.
But did they really have to give up a second-round pick? To be honest, when I looked at this team, when we did our trade boards, I looked at the New Jersey Devils, and I'm like, I don't know what you get for Andy Green. Like, yeah, he's the captain. He has leadership skills, but what are you going to do with him moving forward?
I thought they'd get like a sixth.
I didn't think it was that. I thought, okay, a fourth maybe. But to get a second and I guess just some guy who can turn into something, hopefully, he's still 21, in David Quenneville, that just seems like a lot to give up for Andy Green. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't be surprised if Lou Lamoriello re-signed him.
No, I can't wait till he's named, because the Islanders don't have a captain, do they?
No, they do.
Who's the Islanders' captain?
I'm going to tell you right now. It's Anders Lee.
Oh, yeah! Okay, well, that's awkward. Whoops, sorry, Islanders, but I don't care about you. Moving on, though, we'll stick on the New Jersey page because, oh boy, has Tom Fitzgerald been doing a good job. Tampa Bay, from the Devils, acquire forward Blake Coleman. In exchange, the Devils are going to get a 2020 first rounder. Of course, this is the first round pick Tampa got from the Vancouver Canucks for JT Miller. Of course, the condition on this pick is if the Canucks miss the playoffs this year, this first rounder will be a 2021 instead of 2020. They also get, will get forward prospect Nolan Foote, who Tampa chose 27th overall in the 2019 draft. And
I just think this is a trade.
I do too. Coleman is having a great year offensively. He's making he's on a value deal, which is exactly what
$1.8 million.
$1.8 million
this year and next.
And he has, I believe, he's at 21 goals so far.
21 goals and 31 points in 57 games.
I won't lie to you, Alex. I didn't know this guy was a real player until this trade happened, and I looked him up and said, "Oh my."
Yeah. He is. This is a great trade for. Listen, sure, the price that the Lightning gave up, that was probably a little too high. My guess is, they can give up this and feel no impact.
No.
Absolutely none. They gave up the first. Yeah, they gave up the first round pick that they got. Okay, and they gave up a prospect, but they have prospects still coming up. That's what the Tampa Bay Lightning are. Blake Coleman is going to be a Tampa Bay Lightning next year, while some other players will not, because he can replace those players at a bargain price. I think from New Jersey side, the first round pick, they have 3 first round picks this year. They have their own. They have the Arizona Coyotes first round pick, unless it's top 3. And they have now Vancouver's first round pick, unless they miss the playoffs, which at this case doesn't seem likely.
Now, let me ask you the Jeff Merrick question. Which player brought in more, Taylor Hall or Blake Coleman?
I think probably, I don't know. I was leaning towards Taylor Hall, and I'll tell you why. Because, sure, they have the first round pick, guaranteed first round pick. Mm-hmm. Either this year or next year. Then you have the 2 prospects, and then you have Nick Merkley. And then you have that conditional pick for him resigning and them making it, I think, past the first round in the playoffs, where what could that pick turn into? I think they got more out of the Taylor Hall trade than they did the Blake Coleman, but they got great assets from the Blake Coleman trade. Mm-hmm. And I really like Nolan Foote. He has 33 points in 27 games this year.
My heart sank because I almost got duped by a fake Twitter account.
Why?
The trade was Thomas Tatar and Ilya Kovalchuk to the Avalanche for first Alex Newhook. And then I saw the trade. I saw it was 19 hours ago. I'm like,
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
I hate those fake NHL Twitter accounts.
Oh, it's the worst.
It pisses me off so much.
What was Steve Dangle's tweet? Yeah, the best part about making fake trade accounts is getting laid all the time. Jesus Christ, Steven, you are... Well, because imagine if you're a reporter and you see that and you retweet it or something, your career is that's my worst fear, is if we get into the business and we do something like that. So I almost derailed the show to say that the Habs just got Alex Newhook, but happily that did not happen. But we're talking about the Habs and Marc Bergevin. No one is better at making depth moves than Marc Bergevin. The Habs have flipped Marco Scandella, which they acquired Marco Scandella for a 4th from the Buffalo Sabres. Scandella has now been traded to the St. Louis Blues for a conditional 4th in 2021 and a 2020 second rounder.
I don't know what's funnier, the amount of second round picks the Habs have this year, or the fact that Buffalo are literally just took a crap in their pants because of what Montreal just got.
If you'd excuse me for a second, I just want to talk about, before we go into the in-depth interview, I just want to talk about Marco Scandella as a Habs fan. First of all, Sean Campbell apparently had just talked to Marco Scandella. He said he knew the trade, that he might be traded a few times this season. He cherished every moment as a Habs because his parents went to every game. Of course, he was a Habs fan growing up. He didn't rule out the possibility of coming back to Montreal. Apparently, they did talk contract, but Marco Scandella wanted to wait until the end of the year. So the Habs thought, and good on Bergevin to trade him. And, of course, fantastic for Marco because he gets to go to a cup contender. So I'm really – this was his career this year. Buffalo – to his hometown where he scored a huge goal against the Toronto Maple Leafs. As a Habs fan, you have to love that for him, growing up as one as well. And now he gets to go to St. Louis to try and win a Stanley Cup. So just as a Habs fan, I want to say thank you, Marco, and I wish you the best of luck. And on the side of this, haha, Buffalo, you losers.
Yeah, man. It's hilarious.
Asset management.
Yeah, but now the real asset management comes in is what are they going to do with all those second-round picks?
Yeah. And I think it's going to be it's going to be a shaping up because, as we all need to remember, the draft is in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
So regardless if they decide to make some moves with these deals or they decide to draft them, and they've been doing a much better job of that over the past few years. It'll be interesting. Of course, Bergevin's job is not done yet because there is still looking at all these returns. I think you'd be a fool to not see what you can get for Tomas Tatar and probably not trade him. And at the same time, Ilya Kovalchuk. If they only wanted a second before, I think that price has gone up, Alex.
I don't know.
We'll see. But they're getting at least a second
rounder. I don't know about that one.
They're getting at least a second rounder. If Andy effing Green got...
Yeah, but the only reason they got a second-round pick is because, number one, in the same division. Number two is because it was Lou Lamoriello.
So you're telling me you don't think Kovalchuk will go for a second-rounder?
Yeah, but that's what we've been talking about that since a week after he signed with the Canadiens.
Yeah, but now it's actually...
We've been talking about... They've been talking about this for weeks.
Yeah.
I assumed you meant more.
No.
Do you mean more than a second-round pick?
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying you're going to get Alex Newhook in a second. I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if there was, a second or a third. I'm not saying they're going to go rob a team. I'm just saying now, it's going to be more than just a second. Even if it's just a second and a fourth, I think that'd be fantastic.
Okay.
I don't think you believe me.
I do believe you.
You have that smirk on you, Alex. But anyway, we'll move on to another defenseman. The Washington Capitals just are not going to be a fun team to play because it's either you're going to have to deal with the offensive ability of Kuznetsov, Backstrom, Oshie, and Ovechkin, and then a back end that's going to have guys like John Carlson, Radko Gudas, along with newly acquired Brendan Dillon for a 2020 second and a conditional 2021 third. God, and by the way, Tom Wilson's on that team too.
Oh yeah, in case you forgot.
My dear God, the Capitals.
Just in case you forgot what that team is filled with.
What's there to say?
Sure. Yeah.
I just said, we'll clean that up. Do. We got some technical.
Sorry, say that again.
Sorry, yeah, no. What do you
cut out?
What more is there to say about the Washington Capitals?
I didn't hear what you said.
You didn't hear me? Or do we just want to put a cut in? Do we want to just put in the technical difficulty and?
No, just say it. Go. It's okay.
All right. What more is there to say other than the Capitals are going to be absolute killers in the playoffs this year?
They're going to be killers. They are going to be deadly, deadly, deadly killers.
I like this. I really like this.
It's interesting. It's an interesting move. I think it's another depth. I really think it's a depth piece at this point. Obviously, you look at, so is Brendan Dillon on the left side? I forget.
He's the righty.
Okay, so they have a right side right now, John Carlson, Nick Jensen, who they got last year, and Radko Gudas, who they also got last year.
Jensen?
Nick Jensen. Sorry.
Is he Finnish?
I'm not sure, but I believe he was on Detroit.
He was, yes. He
was the guy. He was the guy that all Leaf fans wanted, and then they saw he signed a 4-year, $2.5 million deal.
That's brutal.
But that's a good signing, especially that's really a depth piece at this point. If he can play on the left side, which I'm going to check right now, that would be very good too. Yeah, he's left-handed, so he'd play on the left side. That really fits their third pair. They on the left side they have Michael Kempny, Dmitry Orlov, and I'm going to try to say his name, Jonas Siegenthaler.
Sounds good. Sounds right.
So I think he could really fit in there, and then you'd have a third pairing of Brendan Dillon and Radko Gudas.
Oh. They wouldn't play. They would just be in the box the entire time.
It'd be ugly.
But let's talk about some more defensemen. The Ottawa Senators have traded Dylan DeMello to the Winnipeg Jets for a 2020 third-round pick. I love this deal for both teams. The Sens get a pick, and the Jets need a very much needed defenseman.
Yes, it's. We've talked about it for weeks that they needed a defenseman, especially on the right side. Dylan DeMello seems to have been having a good season. They acquired DeMello in the Erik Karlsson trade.
Remember when he was good?
Who, Erik Karlsson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. So it's nice to see from Ottawa's perspective because they're getting a pick. But I think more for Winnipeg, who are going to be making a push. It's important for them.
Yeah.
So they don't have to heavily rely on Connor Hellebuck.
And they're not giving up a first like they have for the past few years with rentals.
Right. I don't think the Winnipeg Jets are done, though.
Really?
I think they go out and make another move.
Would Nick Ehlers or Kyle Connor be one of the players going the other way in that deal?
I don't think so. I think if one of them were to be moved, I think that's in the offseason. I think...
Do.
Pardon?
Then what do you think they do?
They bring in another defenseman. Because right now, this is from Daily Faceoff, their pairings are Morrissey and Tucker Pullman, Dmitry Kulikov, Neil Pionk, and Sami Niku and Nathan Beaulieu. So Dylan DeMello slots into either Tucker Pullman or Nathan Beaulieu, whichever one. But even then, you really want, like right now they have Tucker Pullman on their top defensive pairing. Is that something you want?
No, not at all.
Right. So I think they really look at bringing in someone like anyone to play on the right side. We've talked about Sami Vatanen. Or we used to talk about Travis Hamonic, but since he's injured, I don't think that's going to be a case anymore. Do you see them moving Sami Vatanen, considering what they could get?
Yeah, I mean,
we'll
about a first rounder. I think Sami Vatanen's going for a first now.
I don't think so.
Because I don't think so. He's a tier above a guy like Brandon Dillon.
Yeah, but we're going to talk about it in a little bit. But you look at the Alec Martinez trade and what potentially is being moved there, which according to Bob McKenzie it could be two second-round picks. And this is a guy, sure, he's left-handed, but he can play on the right, and he has an extra year on his deal yet left.
Which, as the Coleman deal shows you, the value just goes boop, 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 boop.
Right.
Our second or third last trade to really talk about, a prospects trade. We don't see these very often. I think the last any sort of comparable was the Alex Nylander for Henry Jokiharju. Even those guys are NHLers. But the New York Rangers acquire prospect Julien Gauthier from the Carolina Hurricanes in exchange for Joey Keane.
Yeah, I think this is a trade that works out for both teams. Joey Keane is a right-handed defenseman. Listen, they obviously the Carolina Hurricanes have loads of defensemen. I think this is just an add-on to their core or their defensive depth. Sorry, he could potentially be packaged in another deal. You never know at this point. He's played 49 games with the Hartford Wolfpack, which is the Rangers affiliate team. Has 30 points. So, and he's also 20. He is 20 years old. So that thing from their case, I think it makes sense. And I think it makes even more sense from a Rangers perspective because, you know, you look at the Rangers' right side, and I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. You obviously have Jacob Trouba, you have Adam Fox, and you have Anthony DeAngelo. So
Adam Fox, great name.
Yeah, I don't think that that blue line's getting mixed up anytime soon. But what the Rangers are looking for, and you know, we talked about before, if they were going to trade Alex Georgiev, was a winger or any type of forward who is almost NHL ready. And I think this is kind of what you're getting in with Julien Gauthier. You know, he hasn't panned out to be the player everyone was expecting. At this point, he's 22. He was picked 21st overall in 2016. But I think this is a guy they can definitely work with. It's not that he's not good. He has 37 points this year in 44 games in the AHL.
He hasn't really gotten a shot to play in the NHL. It's only in 5 games.
Right. So I think maybe with this team who is I guess still rebuilding, I'm not entirely sure what the New York Rangers are at this point. This is good for the Rangers.
Yeah, they're definitely still rebuilding. I wouldn't say the Rangers aren't in any sort of crisis, I'd say, for them. And they're doing the rebuild very, very well. For our final big trade that's been confirmed, because we're still waiting on the Alec Martinez confirmation. Now, the Vancouver Canucks are in a bit of a tough spot. Michael Ferland is, we're just going to say, gone.
Well, he's out for the rest of the season. That was in the blog.
I only say gone because with concussions, you don't know. At least with Brock Besser, we know he's out for 8 weeks. This sounds terrible. With rib cartilage fractures. What? Now, Brock Besser, there's always been concern with his health. He's never had a full healthy season. That's why they only did, I believe, it was a 3-4 year deal with him. So to combat these injuries, the Canucks have now acquired not Alec Martinez. I got this mixed up last time. They have acquired Tyler Toffoli from the LA Kings in exchange for warm body Tim Schaller for the salaries to work out. Center prospect Tyler Madden, a conditional 4th in 2022, and a 2020 second rounder.
I don't mind this deal at all. Actually, I think it's what both teams want, and I think that's, you know, I feel like I keep saying that at this point, but it's the truth. Let's go through the list of what do the Vancouver Canucks need?
They need forwards. They need bodies,
and they just got that in Tyler Toffoli, right? You lose now. You've lost Michael Ferland and Brock Besser. And now it was originally supposed to be a couple weeks, and now it's 8 weeks. He was going to be reevaluated, in 3 weeks, and now Brock Besser is out for 8 weeks. So he probably might be back for the playoffs. Now, what do the Kings need? Prospects?
To be younger and faster.
prospects and picks, which is exactly what they got. I mean, obviously, you got Tim Schaller, who is kind of just a throw-in, a roster player, which when you're rebuilding, you need roster players. Like, you need someone to play on the ice. Right? So I think this deal really worked out well for both teams. Tyler Madden, he is 20, drafted in the third round in 2018, is playing at Northeastern University, has 37 points in 27 games.
Just a note on him, he'll be gone for, I believe it was 4 to 6 weeks. He has a broken finger, Bob McKenzie reporting, so he'll be out for, and I don't know how good Northeastern are, so I know, but the NCAA season ends pretty soon. But I don't like this deal for the Canucks, but I understand why they did it. This is the move to me that a team like Tampa Bay makes when you're close to it and you need that one more piece. Now, the problem is with the Canucks is they can't afford to miss out on the playoffs because of the conditional first-round pick. But I don't think they're in a position where they can trade away their first and their second rounders all willy-nilly. Now, they're lucky the JT Miller deal has worked out for them, but I really, really don't like this move. I understand it. I don't like it. I don't like how Toffoli only has this year left. And just to make it fit, you had to have Levo and Besser on LTIR?
Well, I think they were gonna go on LTIR anyways, were they not?
I know, but like their salary situation is in such. They have $30K in salary, in cap space right now. I just don't get it. I don't like it for the Canucks. This is the reason I don't like this team. It's just you're going for it when you don't need to.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Because they're going to make a move, right? Like I think at that point it's you have to, because you're sitting in a dogfight with the Oilers and I think the Flames for the Pacific Division, right? You just lost. Now it's kind of confirmed Michael Ferland isn't coming back. That's one forward confirmed out for the rest of the season. Now you're going to miss Brock Besser for the rest of the regular season at least. What do you do in Jim Benning's position then?
I don't make a move. This isn't a team that I think the Canucks are overachieving right now. They're only in this position because the Pacific is such a joke.
Right. But wouldn't it still make sense to go for it if you have the chance? You look at what happened last year.
I just don't like it. I don't like that you're going to probably lose Tyler Toffoli because you can't lock up Tyler Toffoli. You can't do it. You can't do that type of deal before you have Pettersson and Quentin Hughes ready. I just don't like it. You're going to lose him. You're second for basically nothing when you're a team that has done a really good job of scouting over the past few years.
Right.
Again, yeah, I understand why they did it. Because of the injuries, because of that first, I understand it. I just do not like it. And I see the position Jim Benning's in, but they put themselves in this situation to begin with.
Wait, what do you mean they put themselves in this situation? It's injuries. They're not only are they missing those two, they're missing Josh Levo, and I think they're missing a couple other players as well.
Was it their fault that they gave Louis Eriksson that deal? Is it their fault they gave Jordy Ben, Jay Beagle, those type of deals? Yeah, that is.
Yeah, that's their fault. I'm not saying it's not their fault.
If there was a good chance that they could re-sign Tyler Toffoli, I wouldn't be upset about this deal. But the fact that I am pretty sure they're going to lose him for nothing is what I don't like about this.
But if you're Jim Benning, and you're sitting there saying, I'm on the hot seat because, my team is currently sitting in pretty much a dogfight, could potentially finish first in the division by the end of the year. And now you're missing Michael Ferland minimum for at least the rest of the year. You're missing Brock Besser for 8 weeks, and Josh Levo is sitting on LTIR. What do you do? Because it doesn't seem like missing the playoffs was an option.
I'm just going to get the NHL standings up because I want to get an exact sense of how far out the Canucks, how far in the Canucks are. So they've got 69 points. Nice. So yeah, they're right there. Okay, you're right. They are legit in that dogfight. But I look at the teams around them. Calgary have been a mess. They're the only team in the playoff spot that have a minus goal differential. The Yotes haven't been able to figure it out. They're not going to get Darcy Kemper back for a little bit still. The Preds have been incredibly inconsistent. Vegas the same, and Edmonton don't have McDavid. Yeah, they're playing well, but now they've just lost one of their best defensemen.
Okay.
Yeah, they're one bad streak away from, losing on the playoffs, but every team in that division is.
No, but that's fine. But if Jim Benning is on the hot seat, which I'm pretty sure I read somewhere, you have to make a move. If you're Jim Benning, you're on the hot seat, and if it's either I don't make the playoffs or I'm fired, because any of those teams that you mentioned go on a hot streak, and like the Arizona Coyotes, once Darcy Kemper comes back, can go on a hot streak. Calgary Flames, based on their team on paper, can go on a hot streak. Those are two teams that can knock them out of the playoffs. What do you do in that situation? Because even next year, right? Like, it's not like this team is old.
No.
The majority of this team is still quite young. And to give up a second and a prospect and a conditional fourth, I don't think is a big price to pay, considering how well they scout and looking at the prospects that they still have.
I do not like the idea of a team like the Canucks making go-for-it moves. I just don't. I don't think they're in that. A second is a lot. If for a rental player, again, we talk about Tampa Bay giving up a first and Nolan Foote like it's nothing. Though that's not the Canucks.
No, I get that's not the Canucks, but what are the other deals that were made? Right? Dylan DeMello, they gave up a third. Andy Green got a second. Marco Scandella got a second.
Those are all defensemen. I'm not comparing the market there. And if that means I have to go back on Kovalchuk, I'll say that. But even though the TSN guys, there's a new insider trading about the price of him going up. But I'm not going to you're not going to convince me on this. This is a bad move for the Canucks. It doesn't make sense.
Okay, but why is it every time we talk about it's my perspective from my perspective, because all I see on Leafs Twitter is bitching and complaining that Kyle Dubas didn't do enough when the Leafs had Matthews, had Marner, and had Nylander all on entry-level deals. That, those were the years that you go for it.
But you don't agree with those people. You still have those players at what? Are any one of them 23 yet?
I don't. I think Nylander is. No, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying it could potentially be a valid point, considering the mess that they're in. Yes, you said it perfectly. They have Louis Eriksson at $6 million. They have to figure out their goaltending situation. They still have Roberto Luongo's recapture penalty. This might be 1 year that they could go for it. And I don't think giving up a second, a fourth, and a prospect is the biggest thing for this team, considering the prospects they still have in the minors and still have in Europe and still have wherever, and considering their scouting.
Listen, if they want to give up a second rounder to be lucky to get to the second round, that's their prerogative. I don't.
Okay, do they make the playoffs next year?
Next year? Don't ask me next year. Don't you dare. I don't know what the team's gonna. I don't know what the division's gonna look like next year.
Okay, well, Edmonton's gonna be better.
Yes.
Right. Vegas. What's Vegas? Will still be good. Calgary.
We have no clue because they might trade a core member of the team, but they're still going to have Giordano. They'll still probably have Monahan, Gujar.
But they're going to be a good team.
They're going to be good.
Probably be better than they were this year, because I think this year was simply a down year.
Yes.
Okay, no, not even going to get there. I was going to say San Jose, but no.
That's not even
How about and Arizona?
I think Darcy Kemper is Darcy Kemper again, and they'll be.
So that's 5 Pacific teams.
Yes.
Okay.
But
And
I
will
don't want to
Winnipeg
talk
be
about next year when they won't even have Tyler Toffoli. Well, the Jets.
well the Canucks,
Canucks, sorry, yeah.
but they'll have other players to replace him.
Who's going to replace him? He's not, dude. He's Brock Besser's replacement.
Right now, he's Brock Besser's replacement.
Yeah,
But do they still not have to sign? What's his name? Vasily Podkolzin.
I don't know if he's coming next year because I thought it was still
The year after.
the year after. I think.
Okay, either way,
But
that's
he'll be
one
signed
guy
to
they're bringing.
ELC, won't he?
Yeah, he'll be signed to an ELC.
Yeah, so that's different. Listen,
Why is that different? It's still a player that can. You continually tell me that Cole Caulfield is going to come here
That's a player
and
you're
fix.
getting for free. You're not giving up a second rounder for someone. That
Right, so you don't have
2-3 more.
Right,
months.
so now you. I understand that, but if Tyler Toffoli leaves, they still have other players that can replace Tyler Toffoli. Because when they make the playoffs, Brock Besser is going to be back. So Tyler Toffoli is going to be Tyler Toffoli.
But you won't have the second.
Yep.
I don't care about the fourth. And guess
Okay.
what? You're not going to have that prospect. What was his name? I don't even know.
Tyler Madden.
You're not going to have Tyler Madden.
But they still have other people.
You still need prospects.
They have all these things.
Yeah, but they're not as plentiful and stocked as Tampa are. They're not the same position as
But
the
they didn't give up a first for Blake Coleman.
They already they gave up their first for JT Miller and then gave up their second for Tyler Toffoli.
Right. So you're telling me they make no move,
If I'm Jim Benning, I'm not making.
and your ass is on the line, and if you don't make the playoffs, you're absolutely getting fired.
We don't know if he's on the line.
No, I'm very sure he's on the line. I'm gonna search it up.
What? Mark Bergevin's ass is probably on the line.
Nah, man,
He
that
hasn't
guy,
been-
his ass is on the line. His ass should have been on the line 3 years ago.
That's very true. All right. Anyway, I want to quickly touch on the Martinez trade because we did spend a lot of time on the Canucks, more time than the Canucks deserve, in my opinion. But anyway, so Bob McKenzie, the Bob father, decided to put this little tweet thread out there. He says, quote, "It's not done yet, but Vegas and LA are working to try to finalize a deal that would send Alec Martinez to the Golden Knights. Most telling sign will be if Martinez is in or out of the lineup tonight." I'll read a bit of the thread. "If this deal gets done, I expect the likely return will be 2 second-round picks. Martinez, by the way, has 1 year left in his contract. And by the way, he also adds that Martinez actually will sit out tonight. So it sounds like 2 second-rounders. Vegas get a defenseman that, even though they wanted a puck mover, instead they're getting Alec Martinez. Thoughts on that for the Golden Knights?
I don't mind that trade.
No?
No, because listen, I get they need a puck moving defenseman, but I think he can play on the right side, which is I think something they wanted improvement on. You know, you look at what they wanted to do last year, or was it last year or 2 years ago they wanted to get Erik Karlsson,
That was 2 years ago.
and it seems like they haven't really done much since then to look at that, to address that issue.
No.
Right, so I think this is kind of them saying, okay, we want someone who can play on the right, and this is the guy.
I think that's fair.
I don't mind the 2 seconds simply because they have him for next year.
Mm-hmm. All right, then. Also, Alex, while we are here, actually, no, that's all the trade talk we have here. Jesus Christ. How long have we been going for so far? Hour 27. Oh, boy. This might be our longest episode yet. Well, I guess, Alex, I know this isn't good for radio, but I want to have a moment of silence for James Duchy. So if we could please just bow our heads and give a moment of silence to the Duchy. All right, that's enough. Because poor James Duchy will have nothing to work with come trade deadline so far. Especially if Chris Kreider is done by the weekend, which I think he might be. But anyway, Alex, I guess we should talk about the Habs.
I have something to say.
You have something to say.
Yeah.
All right.
Because we're gonna insert here the Leaf stuff.
Yes.
which we recorded before the podcast because Daniel could only be with us
live now.
because so apparently John Bartlett just tweeted out that Evgeny Malkin is indeed a scratch tonight versus the Leafs. I'm not entirely sure what that means. I don't think it's a trade. Don't try to tell me that.
Imagine?
I think we'd have to do an emergency podcast.
How about this? Evgeny Kuznetsov. No, sorry. I mean, Ilya Kovalchuk.
Get out of here.
Or Evgeny Malkin. I'm just saying, Alex.
Because Elliot Friedman 14 minutes ago said, Malkin left warm-up early. We'll see if he's a go for tonight. My guess is it's something about maybe nagging injury or something.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that would just make the Penguins stronger, let's be honest. Well, Alex, I think we should give Daniel a call.
Okay.
Ring, ring. Alex, we're back.
Hi, Adam.
Hello there.
Well, we haven't really left.
You know who else is here?
Is it Daniel?
Do you hear that?
I think it is.
Oh. He is here.
I don't believe it. Him times of the year?
Yeah.
Is this how we should open the show, Alex? Is this good?
Yes.
All right, then. I'm going to hand this off to you because we only have Daniel for a certain amount of time. We're gracious for him to give him, we are gracious at him. I'm in such a rush. I'm sorry. Daniel, thank you for being here. We won't waste your time anymore. Alex, I think there are some things about the Leafs you want to talk about, so I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, we only have you for half an hour, so we're going to get through as much as we can here.
Sounds good.
I don't know. Have you been on the podcast since the Leafs made the Kyle Clifford and Jack Campbell deal?
I was not. That happened a week after.
Okay, so what were your initial thoughts on that deal? You know, they gave up Trevor Moore and 2/3.
Yes.
Was it 2/3? I forgot.
1/3, I believe, was conditional.
Okay, so
yeah, it was a second in the conditional third based on Campbell playing and Clifford resigning.
Thank you, Adam. So, what were your initial thoughts on that deal?
I think there's a lot of rumors already on Jack Campbell, and something was gonna happen. You know, people are believing Michael Hutchinson that night, but I'm like, something was already in the works. They knew he wasn't going to be their number 2 guy.
And what have you thought of their performance so far? Obviously, Jack Campbell has, been the shining light that we've been waiting for a backup goalie. Kyle Clifford has already gone into one fight. Those tweeters must be really excited.
Mm-hmm. I think, following Trevor Moore in his career in the Marlies, it was kind of hard to see him go, but I don't know. Just these are 2 guys that like Campbell, Clifford. They want to be in Toronto. I loved their interviews, what they said about being on this team, and what they show.
It is just. I'm gonna throw this out there. I know It's not gonna sound. It's not gonna sound fun for a few Leaf fans here. Is Jack Campbell the new James Reimer? Do we love him that much?
Oh, wow.
Do we love him that much? Are we there?
Steve Dangle does.
Because it seems like it.
I'll give him a few more games, see how the season goes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll dictate it.
Now, Jack Campbell, he has how many points? Has he not had almost as many points for this team? Then Michael Hutchinson has 9 points all season. This guy has 6, 7. He is an improvement, right? It's clear that he's an improvement. Now, before the All-Star break, we saw Freddie was not having the greatest time in net. And, he comes back, then he has the whole injury incident, and he's now come back, and he's not looking like Freddie. There's different questions there. Obviously, the defense really isn't up there. I think we've had that discussion before. there's not a goaltending controversy here, right? Like, I think it was from the Toronto Star, an article asking if there's a goaltending controversy in Toronto, and is Freddie going to lose his starting job? That's ridiculous, right?
They're really jumping the guns on that one.
Like, he's been here for 2 weeks.
Was that Steve Simmons who wrote it?
No, he's not at the Star. I'm not sure who wrote it. I just saw, I think it was Justin Bourne retweeted it. And I'm like, man, like, he's been here for 2 weeks now. He's played 4 games for this team. And you're already going to sit here and tell me that there's a goaltending controversy.
Oh, I just found Kevin McGran, I believe. Yes. Anderson or Campbell is a Leafs goalie controversy brewing. I don't know.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't know how you could sit there and obviously we know why the story was written. We're talking about it. That's exactly why it was written.
Yeah.
But just that idea of, man, like Anderson has literally stood on his head for the last 3 years since he came here. Since he was traded to Toronto, signed a 5-year extension, has stood on his head. I think everyone's just completely, this is a low blow to Freddie. Absolute low blow. Absolute low blow. Last week, I'm not sure if you saw, I believe it was Pierre LeBrun or Darren Dreger talked about first on Insider Trading, talking about the Leafs and Jake Muzzin are coming closer to an extension. Pierre LeBrun came out and said his sense was it was 4 years at $5.5 million. What are your thoughts on that deal?
I mean, it's a lot different. I think last time I was on the show, I said 6 and 6.
Right.
4 is a lot better term. 5.5, I'll live with that. And he's like, again, it's a guy who wants to be in Toronto. Like, I love him here. He gives what Toronto needs.
Would you say that this season he has been the Leafs' best defenseman?
I think so. Most consistent. Not like injury, like withstanding injury.
We're forgetting about Martin Marincin.
Oh, of course, yes. Can never forget him.
Ridiculous. No respect.
Who is playing with Travis Dermott tonight?
Exactly.
On the right side. Yeah. Why try Travis Dermott on the right side? I don't know. Now, we're less than a week away from the trade deadline, and we're going to talk about a whole list of trades that happen later, Adam and I. What are some of the moves that you think the Leafs could make within the next, I guess at this point, 6 days?
Honestly, I actually had them on getting Brendan Dillon, and I just got traded today. To be honest, that was a quality defenseman I wish the Leafs got. But it's crazy, like thinking like, okay, what are they going to give up? And what's been kind of like baffling to me is, I guess, the prices for all these guys.
Right.
Like Blake Coleman, like to Tampa, that was crazy. that package.
That was a big trade.
The Oilers are apparently about to give up a first rounder for him, per 31 Thoughts and Elliot Friedman. If you want to talk about prices.
Okay. Adam and I talked about this last episode, and I said this player is not going to be a Maple Leaf. Will Matt Dumba be a Maple Leaf?
Oh. For me, I say yes, but I don't know. I feel like that's a move you do in the offseason. Because what do you think?
I said he's not going to be a Maple Leaf simply because, well, I had 2 reasons. My silly reason is that, we've heard too much about Matt Dumba for Kyle Dubas to make a trade. You look at the 2 big trades he's made in Jack Campbell. We weren't talking about Jack Campbell. We were talking about Alex Georgiev. You look at the Jake Muzzin deal. I don't think I've ever heard someone mention Jake Muzzin to Toronto before that deal was made. I think That's my silly reason. But my legitimate reason is I don't think he fixes it. Listen, I don't think there's one player that really fixes the Leafs' defensive issues. I don't think it makes sense to bring him in because he's still, again, at this point, I think if the Leafs are really looking for someone, I think they're looking for someone to play with Morgan Rielly.
I can feel that. I see that too. Like, I don't see Minnesota side through this. If you like they're in a weird situation right now, and they're old. He's like one of their like guys entering their primes.
Isn't he 27?
I will check.
He's 25, isn't he?
Oh God.
I'm on it, fellas. Don't worry.
At this, you know what? Like, you know, you look at the other pairings. You have next year. You're going to have Muzzin and Hall again. If obviously the Muzzin extension hasn't been confirmed, it probably won't be confirmed until probably next week.
Mm.
I think you have the Muzzin and Hall pairing. You have Sandin, and I'd assume Liljegren will be ready for next season, at least the start. You're really missing someone to play with Rielly, and is Matt Dumba that guy? And are you only bringing Matt Dumba in because, you know, yes, he's an offensive type defenseman, but he has grit and toughness? Because if that's the reason you're bringing him in, I don't think that fully makes sense to me.
Dumba is 25, by the way. 4 years left at $6 million per.
Like, I don't think there's a defenseman out there who can fix all of the Leafs' issues. I think certain things that we talk about can be fixed simply through mature age and maturity.
So I guess, like, what's your gauge on Rasmus Sandin entering next year? Like, is he ready?
I think he's ready now. He just needs to. I don't know if playing him with Timothy Liljegren right now is the best move. You know, sure, they have great chemistry in the AHL, which is a completely different league of players. But putting him in the NHL together, you know, I'd rather see them like tonight. I believe he's going to play with Tyson Barrie. That would be interesting to see. You know, I'd expect Sandin, or I'd expect Keefe to tell Sandin to stay a little more back, simply because of how Tyson Barrie plays. But I'd be interested to see. My only issue with Sandin right now is he's 19. I don't think he's fully fit into his body yet. And I see him get pushed around a little bit too much. But again, he's great. I think he's an NHL player, but he's still 19 and has so much room to grow.
I agree. You mentioned... sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
Oh, you mentioned Tyson Barrie. Like, what do you guys feel about that? Do you like? There's a article right now from Yahoo Sports saying that the Leafs should sell.
I don't think that the Leafs should sell on Tyson Barrie.
Yeah, like they're talking about. Well, I guess like okay. There's one example they kind of brought up. Who was the writer here? It was Michael Stevens.
Oh,
and, yeah, and
okay.
I don't know. It's just like I guess like there's two perspectives. Like kind of analyzing where are the Leafs right now? Like, are they going to make a run? And second, the other perspective was kind of random to me, to be honest. He compared Tyson Barrie to Rudy Gay.
Okay.
And how the Raptors traded a one-dimensional type player, and the team on itself got better.
Yeah, here's the thing for me when it comes to Tyson Barrie is he's great offensively. I guarantee you if you place him with someone who is a stay-at-home defenseman, I bet if he played with Ron Hainsey, we wouldn't be complaining as much. Because he has someone there to back him up. Whereas, you know, you look at the Leafs left side, Morgan Rielly is very similar to him. Obviously, Morgan Rielly's better defensively than Tyson Barrie, but it's not his strong suit. You play him with Jake Muzzin, it didn't really work out. Travis Dermott's burning money right now. So, and it just seems it's a wildfire when you put those two players together. So unless you're getting a right-handed defenseman back, that is an improvement defensively. I don't think you move Tyson Barrie because you don't have a plan when Tyson Barrie is moved. Now you only have Justin Hall and Timothy Liljegren. Who's your third right-handed defenseman? And don't tell me Cody Ceci, because that would arguably be, I love Timothy Liljegren, but that would be the worst right side ever. That would be in the league.
That's true.
Adam.
So, what do you think?
You know what? There was some part of me that tried to think in my head, if you can work on a trade and extension, you try and throw that into a Dumba sort of situation, but it doesn't really make sense from Minnesota's point of view because we don't even know what Minnesota are. If I'm the Leafs, I treat him as a self-rental because as much as you can talk about Tyson Barrie's inability to play defense, he's still an offensive defenseman that can do things in the offensive zone that other players can't do. And I mean, we didn't know that much about his deficiencies until he came over from Colorado. It was known, but no one talked about it. I mean, what do you compare him as? The left-handed Jake Gardner, except not as many people are going up to bat for him. So I would say I think it would be better for Toronto to keep their hands on him, but at the same time, we've talked about this, Alex. Daniel, the thing that worries me about Tyson Barrie's future in Toronto is we haven't heard any actual trade talks. And when it's a team like Toronto, that's a bigger sign pointed towards maybe he is on his way out because they're such a secretive organization.
Yeah, I agree.
Is there – Adam and I have had this discussion a couple times on the podcast. Is there a smaller type move? All the moves that we've talked about so far have been big moves. Like we've talked about Matt Dumba. Does it make sense for the Leafs to go out there and make a smaller deadline acquisition? Like my main example here always is Zach Bogosian, but maybe that's not the move the Leafs look at. Another example that I always bring up is the Jets from last year, bringing in Nathan Beaulieu and Matt Hendricks, to build up for the playoffs. Is that something the Leafs look at doing?
I think so. Like, would it hurt?
No, not at all. I don't think it would hurt. Like, I think a lot of people look at our farm system, looking at how many draft picks we have, looking at the prospects that we have down there. And I think a lot of people are worried because there's a quantity, but there's not quality of players. There's no more Kapanens or Janssens down there who can prove themselves to be, top six forwards at some point. You have Jeremy Bracco. What the hell Jeremy Bracco is going to be? You still have Mason Marchment, Adam Brooks, Igor Korshkov, who played Sunday and probably going to play again tonight. I think people are worried taking away from that because they don't think there's much there. I don't mind giving up a draft pick, like a low-end draft pick, for a playoff run. But
yeah, I agree.
It depends how far you think the Leafs are going to go. And Adam and I have talked about it on and off the podcast that you look at have you looked at the standings lately?
I have, yes. I have it up here.
The top two teams in the league, I believe, are they not Tampa and Boston?
Yes, by a
You're going to play them. You're going to play that one of them in the first round, and it's more and more and more and more likely looking that you are going to play Boston again in the first round.
Right now, Boston has 86 and Tampa has 85.
And they have a game in 85? Oh, they don't have a game in hand anymore.
No.
So what Kyle Dubas has to look at, what is the playoff run going to look like? Because I don't think if you're playing Boston, I don't know if bringing in depth pieces are enough. You've lost Andreas Johnsson for 8 weeks. Riley's coming back at the end of March. Mikheyev probably should be hopefully back by the playoffs. Did you bring in another rental piece? Like, not a Chris Kreider. Not a Chris Kreider. Not that type. But what is it that you bring back? Because we know that Dubas is a little reluctant to make rental deals. I think he'd rather make a hockey player trade, as they call it.
Looking at the list right now, and there's a bunch of guys who are like RFAs, but like they're kind of like, so there's their control there, but they're kind of on the peripheries of like what the team's trying to do.
Well, Daniel, may I read you something that might be a little interesting? Maybe I can list you some players and you tell me whether the Leafs would go after them.
Okay.
Well, let me introduce you to the 2-on-1 podcast trade board. Do 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 do. Well, Daniel, we're so happy that you are here. The trade board consists of 2 top 10 lists, both of them. Well, sorry, one made by me, one made by Daniel. We haven't updated them because probably half these players are going to be gone by the end of the night. But first of all, let me pitch this to you. Number 9 on Alex's list. Do you think there's any way chance that maybe with some retained salary, a guy like Zach Bogosian could be a Leaf?
Oh, I believe so. I think if his contract gets terminated, why not?
I'm looking more and more likely. I'm going to skip over Jeff Petrie because A, I don't think he's not getting traded, and B, I don't think the Leafs are going to give up the assets required to take that. Now, this is something I pitched to Alex. He didn't think it would happen because the Leafs want a longer-term defenseman. But do you think Sami Vatanen could be an option for the Leafs?
I think so. Right-hand shot, right? Yes. Maybe retain salary here and there. Like, I know people have been talking about Wayne Simmons on his way out for New Jersey, and I think they're willing to retain salary on that. Like, I don't know. I don't see him on Toronto, but New Jersey's just tearing it down.
Do you have something to say there, Alex? You look like...
Yeah, I was thinking, you brought up the forwards. If the Leafs are going to make a trade for a forward, it's my personal guess is that it's going to be for a third-line center, which we all thought we were getting in Alex Kerfoot. Turns out he can play with John Tavares on the wing. So, what's the move going forward? Tonight, the projected lines have Freddie Gauthier on the third line and Jason Spezza on the fourth. I think if they're going to move forward with Kerfoot on the wing, you have to go out there and look at bringing in a solidified third-line center.
Would you guys agree with Chris Tierney?
Or that is interesting. What's his cap hit now? I'm not sure.
According to TSN, it's 2.94.
And he's an RFA at the end of the year, right?
Yes.
I could see them making a move like that. I don't know if it comes with some type of extension, I wouldn't mind it.
Mm-hmm.
But what is that extension? Considering the cap trouble, not trouble, the cap issues that are on this team, I don't know if they want to put a whole lot of money into things yet until they kind of know what their defensive situation looks like.
That's true.
Right now, they have Riley, Hall, and Sandin and Liljegren. Those are the 4 defensemen or NHL type defensemen signed for next year. You still gotta bring back Dermott, and you somehow have to replace Barry.
Yeah, there's 2 other value options, I guess, at center depth that TSN has on their list. So I don't know if Adam's gonna agree or disagree with this one, but Nate Thompson.
That is a name that probably will get moved, yes. And Nate Thompson, just for you Leaf fans out there who may not know a lot about him, if you're getting one thing from Thompson, you're getting a guy who is heavy and a guy who does a really good job at killing penalties. And that's about it.
That's actually something the Leafs need, though. You say that, and I don't think the Leafs have a legitimate center who can play on the penalty kill.
Okay, other option is Barclay Goodrow from San Jose.
No.
I don't know enough about him.
No. He's not yeah, but I don't know. Is he a center?
He's a center.
Oh, I thought he was a winger.
What about Jumbo Joe? Because his name's been out there.
Well, what's the deal that, I wouldn't mind that. I don't think he's going to get overplayed. It's just a matter, how old is he? He's 40.
Mm-hmm.
You have your third line center who's 40, and you have Jason Spezza playing fourth line center, and he's also over 35. I'm not sure how old Jason Spezza is. I don't know what that looks like.
Oh, other option, Derek Grant. He's a UFA at $700,000 and he has 14 goals this year.
Anaheim.
On Anaheim, yes.
All interesting options. And the thing for me is, again, it comes at what is the price? And also comes with, I don't know if Kyle Dubas makes a deal for someone who contract is up at the end of the year. Because from what we've heard, it doesn't seem like he wants to do that. This year he traded for Kyle Clifford. He's and Jack Campbell. Clifford's done at the end of the year. Do they re-sign him? I'm not entirely sure, but I think the big part of that deal was bringing in Jack Campbell, who's not only signed for this year, but who signed for the next 2 years. Mm-hmm. So it's a matter of, okay, from what we've all heard is that it's simply he wants to make a hockey deal. He wants to bring in someone with term. I guess I don't know if he's necessarily looking at forwards. I think for me, the biggest concern is bringing in someone on the back end. And we talk about a player like Matt Dumba. Listen, I don't think it's possible that they do this, and I don't know how the hell they would pull this off, but I wouldn't be surprised if they make a pitch to Alex Pietrangelo if he makes it to free agency, but it'd be an absolute nightmare of a cap situation to figure out. Thank God they have the guy who helped write the cap.
Wow, big swing, Alex Pietrangelo. But
I'm just saying everyone last year talked about, if William Nylander's not going to sign, trade him for Alex Pietrangelo. I don't think and the deal apparently was there. There was somewhat of a deal there that involved Pietrangelo and Nylander. That's the guy who fixes it. He's going to fix most of your defensive problems. But what's the cost there?
A lot.
That is a Team Canada top pairing defense. He's one of those rare defensemen like a Victor Hedman that can play and give a lot offensively and actually plays good on his own zone. It's amazing he's never been a Norris finalist, eh?
Yeah, that's surprising.
Daniel, we've only got you for a few more minutes here, so just to close out, I just want to quickly rapid fire list you some trades that have happened over the past hour. Just really rapid fire. Give me your thoughts on this. So, of course, Blake Coleman goes to the Tampa Bay Lightning from the Devils. The Devils get a 2020 first rounder, which is, of course, the Vancouver pick from the JT Miller deal, and forward prospect Nolan Foote, who Tampa chose 27th overall in the 2019 draft.
Okay, a lot to give, but Tampa could afford that. It's not going to affect them in any way, to be honest. But a win for New Jersey, though.
I like it. The Habs flip Marco Scandella, who they originally got for a 4th-round pick from the Buffalo Sabres, and in return, a conditional 4th in 2021 and a 2020 second-rounder from the St. Louis Blues.
Good asset management by the Habs. I like it.
The Capitals now have Brendan Dillon, Tom Wilson, and Radko Gudas on one team. They give up a 2020 second and a 2021 conditional 3rd-round pick to get Brendan Dillon from the San Jose Sharks.
They're ready for their playoff run. A lot of grit there. Wow. I wanted Brendan Dillon on the Leafs.
That's not a fun team to play. The Ottawa Senators trade Dylan DeMello. I really like this move. To the Winnipeg Jets, 2020 third rounder. The Jets need defensemen, and there they go. They got one.
Win-win for both teams.
A prospect trade. Julian Gauthier goes to the Rangers from Carolina for Joey. I'm not going to say this right. Joey Keane.
Joey Keane.
Yeah.
Yeah, so interesting. I was reading on this before I got on the show. Julian Gauthier, I don't know, he's my World Junior boy 2 years ago.
Has he?
Hasn't really got it all together so far in the big leagues. Joey Keane, interesting, is a center prospect, I believe, but everyone's kind of like Northeastern University, Northwestern, one of them. But I know people are kind of knocking on him. He's having a great season, but he's only 160 pounds, and he's 6 feet. Joey Keane.
That's nothing. Jesus. The Canucks. Yeah. I'll skip all the little details. They acquire good old Tyler Toffoli, reunited with Tanner Pearson, of course. Second rounder goes in there, Tyler Madden, all that type of stuff. What do you think of this move for the Canucks, who will be without Brock Besser for the rest of the regular season?
Solid pieces. They get a proven scorer, and I don't know, Vancouver's, they're for real this year. It's really showing it. I remember we criticized the JT Miller trade.
Oh, I know, right? And of course, the Devils have sent their captain and defenseman Andy Green to the Islanders in exchange for David Quinville and a 2021 second round pick.
I'm laughing at the notes. Green waves his no trade. I think that was a Lou Lamoriello contract.
It was.
Yeah.
And in the notes I questioned how the hell he had a no trade clause. That's ridiculous.
I don't know, crazy. It's funny. Lou Lamoriello reacquires him.
Yeah. But
I don't know. He's really declined the last 3 years, and solid for the Devils to get a second rounder out of him.
All right. I think that's everything. It's exactly 6 o'clock. Daniel, thank you very much for giving us your time. It's always great to have you on. You give great insight. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll be on the show again soon, hopefully for the whole time next time.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
All right.
Yes. Awesome.
All right.
Great show, guys.
Take it easy, man. Love you. Of course, if you want to listen or find Daniel's stuff, we'll put links to his Twitter and that in the description, of course. Thank you again to Daniel for coming on the show. It feels like we talked to him just a second ago, because we did, didn't we, Alex?
Of course.
Anyway, I love what he had to say, and I totally remember because it wasn't 2 hours ago. Anyway.
Okay, let's talk about the Habs.
Yeah, so apparently Shea Weber and Paul Byron will both play tonight. I haven't seen anything on if Gallagher is or not. Paul Byron, his first game since frickin' November. And,
wow.
Yeah, first thing I want to say is, so apparently Zdeno Chara called up Brendan Gallagher and apologized.
That's great. I don't care.
He's hard to stay mad at, but we're talking about that. Did you see?
I don't care.
That Claude Julien got fined $10,000.
Yeah, that pissed me off. I'm not going to lie. And I'm a Leafs fan.
Oh, buddy. Oh, hi there. I'm going to cross-check someone in the face. I'm only going to give him $5,000. But the league gets its feelings hurt by a coach. And we're going to give him double that. Because player safety matters.
Well, listen. I think it was on the latest SDP. Obviously, the league, the Department of Player Safety, have set a precedent that they want violence. That is just clear.
Yeah.
So they can do whatever the hell they want. Something, I'm telling you, I don't want to get into it too much, but something bad is going to happen on the ice. I mean bad. BAD, capital, all of them. And I'm going to sit there and tell you, yeah, you know why that happened? Because no one did a frickin' thing.
You can't hurt the league's feelings, though, Alex. Don't you know that?
Oh, I don't want to get fined $5,000. I'm sorry.
No, $10,000.
Oh, I don't want to get fined $10,000. I apologize.
So I want to read you something interesting because, of course, the whole Shea Weber thing. Originally, his career was done. Then it was 4 to 6 weeks with an ankle sprain. And then he's playing tonight. So I want to read you because everyone was speculating, oh, this, that, the other. So this is from Robbie Stanley at rStanley NHL. And I think this is going to explain a lot, ladies and gentlemen. We talked about Paul Stastny earlier in the year, how just all the injuries and that just happened to have his 1,000th game versus the Winnipeg Jets in his hometown of Winnipeg. Listen to this. From Robbie Stanley, quote, "So let's say Shea Weber returns to the lineup for Montreal tomorrow, which it sounds like he certainly wants to. He's played 980 games in his career. If he returns tomorrow and doesn't miss another game, his 1,000th game will take place April 1st in Nashville, Tennessee."
That's
Of course,
great.
the team he was the former captain of, the Habs traded for him for PK Subban. And I have one thing to say about that. Two things, sorry. First of all, that's going to be really sweet. Second of all, thank you, Shea, for potentially shortening your career because you wanted to have a special moment in Nashville.
Yeah.
When does
it's
a team
crazy.
step in and say, "Hey, idiot, worry about your health, please"?
Listen, obviously, Kyprios, Nick Kyprios sent out the tweet, which caused an absolute fire in Montreal. Obviously, apologized for it, and then they come out and and say, "Oh, it's 4 to 6 weeks," and like not even a week later, the guy's back playing. Isn't that concerning? A little bit.
So apparently what everyone is saying is the swelling was just so bad originally they couldn't tell. Then it went to 4 to 6 weeks. And it felt like the 4 to 6 weeks diagnosis was more of a reaction to Kipper, which you're the Montreal Canadiens, have some balls. And Shea Weber says that he's obviously not 100%, but he's good enough. Which Shea Weber, if you saw the Ryan Johansson quote of he probably doesn't feel pain, means that Shea Weber is not okay. And I think also the Dangle pod suggested that potentially there is some scenario where if there is a surgery, I'm not going to say whether there is or not, I don't know that much, that instead he could have chosen to have it during the season or the summer, which is, God, I really hope not, but Brendan Gallagher's not playing tonight.
For me, the thing for me when it comes to Weber, I think, listen, he's a great player, but I think you have to treat him with care based on his age and, looking at past injuries. One more decent-sized injury could be, okay, maybe not career-threatening, but could very well screw him over.
He's still on IR. I mean, he is playing, but he has 7 years on his deal left.
Like, you have to treat this man with tender love and care. Okay?
Tender love and care. Shea Weber.
I would be, to be honest, if this was my team, I would be concerned. Because you look at what the potential is there, and you never know if he needs surgery or not. But if the Canadians don't make the playoffs, and I find out that so do you say when the Canadians don't make the playoffs?
Yeah, they're not making it.
Okay. When the Canadians don't make the playoffs, and you find out that he has to have surgery, I would be absolutely pissed off.
I will make very angry video.
Because he's obviously injured. No way you tell us that
100%.
Like, that's, that just doesn't make sense to me. Like, say, you know what? If you need surgery, do the surgery now.
It's not like they've had a star player before not be 100% and they let him play. Aha! Hello, Carey Price. Cough, cough.
Jonathan Drouin. The guy came back for a game and then said, I can't play.
That was okay. Well, first of all, he had a sprained ankle in like his second game back, but at the same time, yeah, the wrist injury, he couldn't take one-timers or take a hard pass, like receive them because it was hurting too much.
You know what doesn't make sense to me is
everything about Habs.
Sure, but this is the second time I've heard that. Oh, it's the player's option to if they want to play or not.
Drouin can play if he wants to. It's up to the player.
He's injured. Don't clear him. He can't take a hard pass and can't take a one-timer. Don't clear the guy if that's the case, because obviously he can't play.
No. If you can't take a hard pass, then if you like that's a basic thing in the game. You're Jonathan Drew and you're a playmaker. Like, come on. So no, he can't receive hard passes or take a one-timer, which still.
That seems ridiculous to me. Like, whose pass are you going to be taking all night? Cody Cece's? Like, what's going on there?
Well, clearly they need everything they have against the Detroit Red Wings.
Obviously.
Just so annoying. So annoying.
It doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up well for me.
Oh no. It's I don't know why this team that is so focused on, we're not going to trade this asset because we're going to be better next year. We're going to fight till the end. Why there isn't just some sort of consensus of, listen, guys, I can't even understand why athletes have this thing of, I'm going to put my body on the line because even though it's clearly going to shorten my career. I would think it would be selfish for you to put yourself in a position to make your injuries worse, to not preserve your career and your body. But hey, I never played, so what do I know? It's just As a fan, I can yell all I want about roster this, but at the same time, this isn't the first time a Habs player, not even just this year, but in the past few years, has put their body on the line, and it's incredibly frustrating. And not only to the players, but the fact that the team doctor allows this to happen.
Right, and I think for me, that's the bigger point here. I understand, like, all the players, they want to play hockey, or most of them do. Unless you're in Buffalo, then I don't know what the hell you want to do. But for the most part, these guys want to play hockey. I understand that. But if I'm the Montreal Canadiens, if I'm any team doctor, and I find out that, my player can't take a pass, or my player was supposed to be out 4 to 6 weeks but made a miraculous recovery 5 days later, I think something is up there. Don't clear the guy.
I wonder if they just mistweeted and instead of 4 to 6 weeks,
they meant 4 to 6 days. Yeah, it was just a template.
Jesus. Well, anyway, Alex, I can hear the anthem because, of course, my family's watching the Leafs game, the weirdos. So I will let you go watch that, of course. This is a long episode, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you enjoyed. Thank you again for Daniel come on.
Yeah.
I
have one last thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Malkin is not being traded. He is merely just sick.
Cowards.
And just not playing.
By the way, this is from James Dutchy. He says, thank you for your thoughts and love. I'm safe. Hug your kids a little tighter tonight. # trade center. That's a tweet, James Dutchy. Your best wishes. Jeff Merrick, too. But thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode. I'm thinking, Alex, do we want to not make another episode till after trade deadline? Or make a shorter episode on Sunday to preview it, then just...
Yes.
Okay, then. Never mind, people. Ignore me. I don't know what I'm doing. But if you enjoyed this episode, wherever you're listening to this podcast, if you can, subscribe or leave a comment, like, all that kind of stuff, a review, you should do that. Give us feedback on what we're doing wrong, what we're doing right. More about what we're doing right because we have no confidence. Don't listen to me. Alex is shaking his head. But anyway, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, my YouTube channel, the show's YouTube channel for clips and all that type of stuff. All that will be in the description. Alex, anything else to say to the lovely listeners?
Keep listening.
Yeah, we're almost at 50.
Yeah, almost there.
So, hey, we'll see you all later.